Welcome into another edition of the Weekly Coaches Show. I'm Ryan Boyd, and I'm joined as always by head coach Dan Morris, who is a little bit happier than he was over the weekend. So, Coach, you guys had two big wins over the weekend. You took on Arizona, and you improved to 10-0-0 on the season. You won night number one 4-3. Night number two was 4-0. First thing I want to talk about from this past weekend was the goaltending play, and I feel like I ask you all the time, but after these two games, you now have two goaltenders that have goals against averages below 2. You have 3 shutouts as a team. Could you ever have imagined, and not to knock these guys at all, but could you imagine that they would have played at this level?
Yeah, I think overall, I think our team, where we're giving up shots from is key. That help both goaltenders perform as well as they are. I think we looked at our shot charts from this weekend, and we didn't give up very many opportunities from the scoring areas, whereas the weekend before, I think we gave up a few more against Oklahoma in the key scoring areas. So I think our guys, we talked about it from one week to the next, and I thought you started to see the benefits from it this weekend, and that helps benefit the goalies. They can see the puck. There weren't very many rebound chances, and the goals that they scored on Matt on Friday night, one was a tip shot, 2 were power plays, and there's only so much you could do as a goaltender on that. And then I thought we did a better job on the penalty kill Saturday night, and I think Teddy was rested. He'd been playing a few games. He looked a little tired on the Saturday night game, going back to back against Oklahoma. We had to give him a night off, and you could see it benefited Teddy. Saturday night he was well rested, made some big saves when he had to.
You mentioned the penalty kill, so with special teams in general in mind, I know that in Game 2 against Oklahoma, you guys scored 4 power play goals, and you and I talked about how impressive that was, and you were happy about that. Is it possible that Saturday night may have been your best special teams night since you guys scored a couple and you were perfect on the penalty kill?
Yeah, I think so. I think we saw some things out of some players in the penalty kill that the light bulbs came on a little bit, and Nick Hudek, if you had an ISO camera on me on the bench, you would have seen me. I got excited about Nick making a simple play on the half wall, and the guys get a kick out of it. Like, he could score a goal, and I wouldn't really react, but watching a guy kill penalties and doing something right, I get more excited. And, the guys on the bench kind of poke fun at me a little bit about that, but that's just somebody working hard and understanding, listening to the coaches, and those kind of things. So I thought. I thought that our defensemen played great overall. I thought, the goal scorers, Kretz and Benson for sure on that power play, and you got J.D. Howard, got a nice off a great shot by Paul Sergi. They gave credit to Benson, but Sergi made the shot, and we practiced that stuff, and we see the benefits because of it.
Now, you mentioned a couple of goal scorers, and not necessarily looking at goal scorers, but one guy I wanted to ask you about that I asked you on Friday as well, and just to reiterate how well he played, Diego Breckenridge had a great weekend, and it was kind of nice to see him come out and play as hard as he did.
Yeah, Diego, we looked at that line. Tommy Wetzel's been hurt and plays with Howard and Agnew, and Tommy's an energy guy, and we put Jay Mazzarella up there a little bit, and Jay did well, but we really needed somebody with energy to help JD and Brett, and Diego kind of took the reins and went out there and was a machine and created a lot of space for JD and Brett, and we saw the benefits of it.
And he had one of the biggest hits of the season too along the boards.
Yeah, he's 5'8" and 205, so and he moves. That's a tough combination. So yeah, that's the way he plays. He's always played that way since I've known Diego for a lot of years now, and that's the way he's played his whole career.
Now, in a more general sense, as I said before, you guys have won 10 games in a row, but you guys are 9-0 at home so far this year, and overall, over the last couple of years, you guys have won 26 of your last 30 games at Bird Arena. What is it that works so well for you guys here at this arena?
Well, I think first and foremost, you gotta build your team into your environment, and Bird Arena is a little smaller venue, and you gotta, there's not a lot of space to operate. You've got to kind of construct your team because of it, and somebody like Mike Harris, when we go to Illinois, Mike Harris might not be in the lineup, but Bertarina, he's a big body. He's got a great shot. There's not a whole lot of skating involved, and he's very effective. So, if Mike's watching, I apologize, Mike, but you got to make some adjustments when you play in a bigger rink. So I think first and foremost, you got to see where you're playing and build your team accordingly, and we've done that over the years. I think that has a lot to do with our success at home.
Now, moving forward, you guys will play 2 consecutive road weekends. Now you start at Liberty, which is in Virginia, I believe, and then you're at Illinois after that. I know you guys played 1 game at West Virginia earlier this season, but these will be your first true road test where you have to travel quite a distance. Are there any different preparations that go into weekends like this?
Yeah, I mean, everything's different. Both venues will be hostile territories for us, and going into Liberty, we've got a great fan base and very enthusiastic crowd, and Illinois is the same. And the fans are right on top of you in both venues, and we've never played at Liberty. This will be our first trip to Liberty, and we've traveled to Illinois before, and we'll practice different next week for Illinois. But I mean, you've got to prepare them mentally, and it's just us, on the road, and get them used to not having the crowd on your side, but having the crowd against you, so we want to practice in silence this week so that we can manage to play in silence. If we're playing in silence on the road, then we're doing a good job.
Now, aside from what the crowd will be like there or the environment will be like, is there anything in particular on your guys' game that you're going to be working on as you get ready?
We're still working on our defensive play a lot. We're working with our defensemen and with our forwards on just fundamental defensive, just simple footwork, stick position. We saw a big improvement this weekend. We saw a big improvement today at practice. You start to see the defensemen understand how we have to defend. It's just simple things like we have players that we're taught to always have 2 hands on their sticks, and we defend with 1 hand on our stick, and it's breaking those habits and trying to make yourself as big as you can with 1 hand on your stick. Those type of things. So it's just, you see some players struggle with it, but once they get a hang of it, they do pretty well.
All right, Coach, well, thank you for your time as always. The Bobcats will be in action, as we just said, twice this weekend as they travel to Liberty. For updates on the game, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Bobcats Hockey, and we'll keep you updated with as much play-by-play as we can. But until then, he's been head coach Dan Morris. I've been Ryan Boyd, and this has been another edition of the Weekly Coaches Show.